All right, so good quick episode we just hit on. So we hit a bunch of different topics. We talked about how Myrtle Beach had made national news this weekend.
Yeah, got some big baseball news in Conway.
Talked about how we had a property that was on the market for a year, but we got it, sold it in 5 days.
Yeah, funny story from Instagram about a guy getting lost. I mean, it was pretty good stuff.
That's good. And also hit a top list of restaurants in Myrtle Beach. So take a look at it, check it out.
Check it out. Welcome to The Upswing, where real estate is boring, but the people and their stories are interesting. All right, back for another episode of The Upswing here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. Kind of excited. One thing just started off right off the jump. We're both wearing the same color pants.
We don't see our pants here.
No, we're both wearing our blue Built pants. And we actually have Built shirts. So if Built's looking for, some sort of sponsorship or whatever, like we're available. No, I'm just joking. But seriously,
I'd take some extra clothes.
Yeah, I mean, we've been we're big fans of Built for sure, and it just happens to be that we're wearing the same pants today. So, but wanted to kick this off, talk about some exciting things going on in Conway this week. So we've got Coastal Carolinas, the Chanticleers, where you graduated from, are hosting a regional because I think they're ranked 11, 12, something like that.
I think ninth in one of them, 11th one. The baseball team's awesome.
Yeah,
killing it this year. Did you go to any games this year?
I did not this year.
We went to a few of them. It's the stadium's amazing. It's sweet.
Yeah. So they've got regionals in town, which is really cool. Brings a lot of people. We've got Florida coming. We've got ECU. So that's East Carolina and Greenville, North Carolina. So they're going to bring a ton of fans just because it's within driving distance. And then Fairfield from Connecticut, a little farther away, but still super exciting. I think if they can win this regional, they should also actually host a super regional.
I got a chance to, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the last time we did that was, I don't even think they did it when they won the World Series, right?
I don't think they hosted a super regional. No.
I think we did one time, but I remember them. I think they played at the Pelican Stadium. Yeah. So I think it was like even before they actually won the World Series. So that's really cool. Another thing too that I saw is the city of Conway is really pushing for the Savannah Bananas to come to Conway. So I'm not sure if this is something that the Savannah Bananas put out there to say like, hey, what's the next city we should come to or whatever. But Savannah Bananas, if nobody knows what that is, they're kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. So pretty cool stuff. I mean, they just did Clemson in the last month or two, had, I don't know how many people, 70 to 90,000 people there. They did it in the football stadium. So they're selling out MLB stadiums across the country. So not sure they're going to come to Conway, but I think it's really cool if they did. So we're here to support that for sure.
I know those tickets are wild. So I was in Savannah for spring break and they were playing a game. And so we looked, so I guess like you probably know the process, but they sell their tickets out at the beginning of the season, like immediately. And like the best ticket prices on like StubHub were like $250 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they really control the market for that stuff for sure. When it comes to their tickets, they're trying to do their best to not have, crazy, resales, things like that. But, my nephew actually, before they kind of took off and became what they are, where they travel around, they did play all summer long in Savannah at one of the oldest baseball stadiums in the country. And, but my nephew was able to play for them for the entire summer. My nephew, Hunter Insminger, and he went on to play at James Madison University. And, but he had a fun time. I mean, I've got some clips of him doing some crazy things out there. And, we were able to go down there and see him play. And
he was a pitcher?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, that's all those guys. They're just goofing around the whole time.
Yeah, he actually was Bob Ross.
But they're good, though.
Yeah, he was Bob Ross one time. I mean, the painter. Yeah. So he was kind of like on the side of the thing doing a painting like during the game or whatever. So that was pretty cool. But so yeah, I mean, a lot of things coming, not just to Myrtle Beach, but also to Conway. So pretty excited about that.
We're gonna hit the good, bad, the ugly. So this past weekend was our crazy Memorial Day bike weekend. Our goal for that's always let's just not make national news. And unfortunately, made some national news. There's a shootout. I don't think anybody ever died this weekend, which was good. Sometimes there's crazy freaking bike wrecks. But yeah, there's this wild freaking chartered cruise in Little River that was on the waterway and like wild, crazy parties. And I guess the whole group knew each other.
Yeah.
And there was some shootout and 11 people got shot or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is
luckily no one passed away, but it was, that was kind of an event that happened. And I think overall it wasn't, it
wasn't horrible. It wasn't too bad of a weekend. I think I literally had 10 clients that reach out to me and they're just like, what's going on? And obviously the news makes it seem horrible, but
right. Especially when they don't live here and they own a condo or whatever. And
but onward to summer traffic for us.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's basically kicking off now. I think there's tons of high school graduations across the country happening right now. And then I know, our schools are out next week. I think your kids are out this week. So really the next 2 weeks, I mean, always right after Memorial Day is basically our summer. And it really starts to pick up, and which is great. I mean, I think all the condo rentals and all that good stuff all the houses, they get rented and everybody starts making money, and all the employees in the restaurants and everywhere around town they can really start to reap the benefits of all the hard work they're putting into. So,
yep.
I had a funny story. This was this is something quick I wanted to tell you about because I didn't tell you, but so this popped up like on my Instagram, and it was a guy in Turkey. So he was drinking, 50-year-old. So he was drinking, having a good time with his friends. He wandered into the woods, right? Probably go to the bathroom, relieve himself. Not really sure there. But that's what I would assume. After hours went by and his friends, he never came back out of the woods. So they started a search party for him. So
were the friends drinking too?
Oh yeah. I would assume. I mean, if we were hanging out in the woods, if we're camping or something, we're probably drinking. But so they started a search party for this guy, right? And the search party goes on for hours, and all of a sudden he stumbles upon the search party. And so he joins the search party himself, right? Doesn't know who they're looking for, but he starts just walking around with them looking for somebody that they're all looking for. And one of the guys starts yelling his name, and he says, "Oh, I'm here." And then all of a sudden it's like mayhem and panic, and like
how many
so he was
in the search party.
I mean, it was a good bit. It was probably like 50 people. I mean, it was not sure if he's going to be fined or what, but the one thing he said to the officer was, "Don't punish me too harshly, officer. My father will kill me." So this is a 50-year-old. I mean,
that's pretty good.
We're both 45 now, but if I said that at 50, even now, like, my father would kill me. I would probably say more like my wife would kill me, but that's just kind of,
I don't know Turkey too well. So
yeah. Anyways, I just thought that was my funny story of the day. So, into some real estate stuff, this week. I know that you have a closing in Pawleys Island this week. So you had to drive south for a walkthrough this morning, and then you kind of worked your way back to another closing that we had today to grab the sign.
It was a good one. Yeah. So walkthrough went great. It's always, you love like sellers that like cleaning crew was there, spotless, everything's labeled on the table, all that kind of stuff. So it was a pretty big house, but super great. Turnkey, buyers were happy rolling out of there. But the other one was Rolling Oak. So that was it's a Georgetown address too. Super cool story. So that was
it's off 701, right? So
between Conway and Georgetown, really. So that sucker was on the market. We're not here to throw any other agents under the bus. So unnamed sources, they were on the market for 326 days. So they were on the market for 326 days, came off the market, expired, right? So they didn't sell it. 279,000. Guy called us. We said, yeah, there's a ton of marketing platforms we put in, told him what we're going to do with the property. We agreed to list it a little bit less at 275. We listed it on April 23rd, had it under contract by April 29th, and sold it for 270. So it was a 279, $9,000 in closing. But basically, practically where those guys were list price wise. But we met him and we said, hey man, we're going to put all of our platforms into play. We put in, our homes.com stuff. We did a Zillow showcase. We did everything for it, right? So Zillow showcase, homes.com. We did YouTube, Instagram videos, the work. I think but the agent actually said, I don't even know what platform it was. It wasn't our buyer, but the buyer agent said, hey, our client actually saw one of your videos before they actually saw it. So
yeah, that was a cool one. I think we even like flew the drone, because this was like kind of a gated community. We flew the drone over our car as we entered the gate, and then we drove it all the way to the house and did some really cool stuff. This one actually had river access with a boat landing and everything. So we were able to film some stuff down there, and really cool that we were able to get that done for that guy. And, I know he wasn't living in the house really that much anymore. He was commuting all the way to Columbia. And so he was super, pretty excited to get rid of that thing and move on. So, yeah.
Pumped. It's closing today.
Another thing is you had Ocean Reef, Upfit,
Yeah. So the
money stuff. Like, let's talk about these, like the upfits that some of these condos go through, and
so the bulk upfit is the term with it, which is, I guess it's a hospitality term where I can try to make this short and sweet, but basically,
I think you can elaborate.
You know, you got the resorts, our oceanfront resorts that are all condominium buildings, but they kind of have the look and feel of a hotel. Where the on-site management companies kind of was unprecedented until a couple years ago, where they did the first one of them. But basically, what the on-site guys in collaboration with when I say the on-site guys, the on-site rental management team, in collaboration with the HOA, go to all the owners and they say, hey, we're going to propose a bulk upfit. So instead of, hey, drapes this year, couches this year, they're going to kind of follow the model of like a Marriott or a Hilton, where they're going to go in and we're going to redo everything. So we're going to basically change the whole look of all the interiors, from furnishings to decor, the works for it. So they propose this to the individual owners. You don't have to do it. It's an optional deal. But they go back to the owners and say, hey, would you like to do this renovation? If you do, you can basically join in. The key kicker with it is you can pay it all up front if you want to, or you can join the HOA's loan. So the loan's not on your credit or your credit score or your debt ratios, right? It's basically tied to the condo. So that's kind of the unique thing, the way it's structured. So Ocean Reef, the crazy thing, so the number that just came out this week is, this is at Ocean Reef. They actually just did 3 buildings are just coming out of this. Ocean Reef, Caribbean Resort, and Compass Cove all had the bulk upfit. And all the units didn't do. I don't know what the number is. Like, let's say 70% of the building did it. But at Ocean Reef, we just saw these numbers where they had a preliminary number, said, okay, we expect your price to be X.
This is before they even start like any construction or anything. They say this is what you're looking at.
And there's like a contingency in there with like all construction. You never know how it's going to shake out at the end, but they give them like a ballpark price. And then, so I've been asking, like, we've sold a couple of those recently that didn't do the upfit, but for the ones that did the upfit, we said, hey, what's the cost? What is it? What is it? Cause it's already done. Like, the building's finished, they're up and rolling. And they said, oh, we don't have it yet. We're finalizing the calculations, which sounds crazy. So the numbers just came out. So the studio pricing, there's a couple of different studio styles, but like the studio that didn't have a kitchenette. So it's got basically, it's an efficiency. It's a hotel room.
Yeah.
And it's got a microwave and a fridge, countertop space. No, not even a sink. Sinks in the bathroom. That price tag was $50,600. Just a crazy high number. And then one of the 3-bedrooms. So we have a 3-bedroom listed for sale in there. The guy didn't do it, but so we want to know, like, hey, what did your neighbor pay for the upfit? The 3-bedroom cost was $105,000. It's bonkers, man. The price of those suckers. But
I mean, do you think that the bulk upfits are a good thing? Like, I mean, do you like them? What's your take?
So it depends on
the
what
real estate side.
So I mean, it depends on what. So we had a million of these questions. So right, so we probably have 150 clients that are in these different buildings. We had this conversation a year ago where they're like, hey, what do you think we should do? Should we do the bulk upfit or should we not? And really, it's like, it's not a singular answer. It depends on your scenario. So what I was telling people was basically, if you're going to continue to rent with the on-site guys, they want to have some skin in the game with it. So what they do, of that 50,000, for example, they say, hey, if you stay with our rental program for a 7-year window, which is how long the note is, we're going to give you a little credit back. So it's a little carrot to stay on their program. So like that 50,000, they were giving like 138 a month. It ends up being like $15,000 back. So what I tell people is, if your goal is to stay renting with the on-site company, then yes, do the upfit. They're going to give you the money back. It's a huge ticket. But do it if that's if your comfort level is staying with the on-site rental program, do it. It's going to be expensive, but in the long run, don't do it if you plan on selling soon too, because those people now are coming out and they're trying to sell that property with a $50,000 tag on top of the price, which is crazy. But if you're committed to the on-site company long term, it's a good deal.
Then normally, how long are the loans? 7 years, I think?
7 years. 7 years. Yeah. So they start payments now. But if you have the capacity or means to do your own renovation, like we've had some clients that have been really successful. They like the idea of the bulk upfit in the building because they said, hey, I'm going to do my own reno for $15,000 or $20,000 or whatever. And you're going to get the uplift of the whole building getting a refresh.
Right. Yeah.
But some people just can't wrap their head around it. Like some people don't want to go with the offsite rental world. Some people don't want to rent it themselves. It goes back to what you want to do long term. So I don't think they're horrible. It's just expensive as heck. And it just depends on what your capacity is for rentals.
So, how often do you think the bulk up is like? I mean, they're coming after owners to maybe do them or not do them.
Well, it's one big management company in town, the biggest company in town, and they're probably one of the best ones in town. The rental management company that is kind of driving it, and they're doing it to try to stay ahead of the curve. From you got a bunch of these new Hiltons in town.
Yeah,
we haven't had a new condo building in town for freaking 15 years, which is crazy, oceanfront wise.
Did you sell the last one?
I was on the team that sold. It was North Beach. Was the last oceanfront one that was. Sold. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
2009 delivered. But what were you asking me?
Just how often?
Oh, how often?
Like,
so
I mean,
so they did the first one. The first guinea pig was 2019, opened in 2020, which is the middle of COVID, which was crazy. And then they tried to do this. So 2 years ago, they proposed this in 5 buildings. It didn't pass in any of them. They went back to the drawing board, proposed it in 3 buildings last year. This Ocean Reef, Caribbean, Compass Cove, and all passed in those buildings. So I feel like in their given buildings, which they have another, probably 10 to go or something like that.
Yeah. And
that's whether some of the other on-site management companies will follow suit. I think it's going to be based on the income. So it's going to be based on if they can show Ocean Reef, for example, if the incomes increase, you're doing it solely to increase your income. You're not doing it for fun. You're doing it, if can I make up the difference in that 50,000 in income? So if they show it, now is when the proof's going to be in the pudding now. So if the incomes go from 25 to 26,000 a year to 35,000 a year, then you can justify it. So we'll find out. And I think that's what they'll use those incomes to sell it to other resorts.
Yeah, that's it's something to think about, especially when you're trying to buy, looking at investment properties, in Myrtle Beach. One thing I want to talk about, like the whole depreciation thing. I read a report recently about how, I guess whatever Trump's putting into place, it's something that's going to be great for people that have Airbnbs or VRBOs, and I guess it's something maybe you know about that. I guess it's something with the depreciation on how you can write off things and how fast you can write off things. I believe maybe Obama put something into place 10 years ago, and that's slowly going away. So now you're going to be able to depreciate some things a lot faster.
So I don't know what article you're talking about, but I mean, basically there was accelerated depreciation was probably what you're talking. So I
think that is in his new beautiful bill, which is crazy to call that.
So we need to know it. We actually need to understand it. So and again, we're not accountants, but we have these conversations every day. So normal depreciation is I've got a property. I'm going to depreciate it. It's not your primary. So it's like an investment property. You do straight line depreciation. So it's 27 and a half years depreciation. You take your value, you divide it by 27 and a half years, and you can get that deduction on your income taxes. The accelerated depreciation is like, I'm kind of paraphrasing some of the stuff. We need to know the process, but a couple of years ago, you could basically depreciate the whole entire property value that year. And then it was going down. It was like that 1 year is 80 and it was 50% of it.
I think now it's all the way down to like maybe even 20%, but I think it's going over the next 5 years. It's actually going to go back up. As long as this bill goes all the way through, which I think it did pass a couple steps already, but
definitely good for investment stuff. Cause I mean, that's what we've had 100 times, clients will call us and be like, hey, my accountant told me I need to own some more real estate because I need more write-offs. Yeah. I mean, everybody, especially people that own their own business, making their money,
we might be getting more phone calls if the bill passes. So that's a good thing. You had one thing you want to talk about. I guess you had what was that other Dunes Village?
A 604 that just closed.
Yeah, that was just another one that we got closed. Or
no, that's a cool. So investor doing a 1031 client. So they've done multiple transactions with me. So they were that we actually sold 2 properties that was about 300,000 that they had to spend. So to do a 1031 exchange, we could probably have a whole long talk about 1031 exchanges, but that is a tax deferred exchange. So normally it's written like kind, you need to buy something of equal or greater value. So to get the full benefit of it, you got to buy something of equal or greater value. But even if you buy something less, you still proportionally get the same amount less.
Right.
So they basically zeroed in on a property that was 245,000 at Dunes Village. So Dunes Village is a great resort, like 30,000 square feet of indoor pools and amenities and really good incomes. So huge income producer. They've been selling for 245. Like there were 6 sales that were 245. That was the value.
But they needed to roll.
They wanted to sell more.
265.
They needed to sell. They basically needed to spend more money.
Right.
So like, well, can we? And this was like a lot of moving parts. We had to get a seller that was pretty cool to work with us on it. It was all above board. So basically they were like, hey, we're going to update the place anyway. How do we work a deal where we basically can roll that all into the purchase price? So what we did is they went out, we worked with them 3 or 4 different vendors. So they had a local furniture company, $6,000 in furniture, local management company that was going to put in an arcade game and basically update the TVs, all new appliances, and they even put a whole new HVAC system. And these are studios, so it's a PTAC unit, so not super expensive, but $2,000, something like that. So we basically got that bill. It was $15,000, and so we went to the seller and said, "Hey, we're going to pay you $260." We all agree, like, we're going to buy it for $245. They were good at $245. We're going to pay you $260, but we want you to basically put in a new HVAC, have this furniture installed. So the buyer was paying $260 for it, but they were getting all those things included in the price for it. So we needed a seller that was cool and working with it. And the seller was like, to their credit, right, was like, hey, we don't want these things. We don't want to front the bag to do them, but it basically all was like simultaneous with closing.
Right. It all happened within a day before or the day of closing. So, and
it was a cash deal or no contingencies, so that we made the seller feel more comfortable with it. But it was a cool thing. So buyer was super happy, cool, like worked out. It was a lot of moving parts on our end to coordinate the different. The buyer actually never saw the property yet, so we just we went in. They're familiar with the resort, but we did videos, got all the different moving parts together with
and if
it.
If they had just bought it for $245, they would have had to pay taxes, I guess, on that remaining $15,000 or something.
Well, they're able to basically shelter more appreciation gain. So they would have had to pay tax on, because the gain they had on the other property. So in the end, it didn't save them a ton of money, but it was beneficial enough. And
probably 40%.
Yeah, of that on the 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
And like they were planning on doing those updates anyway, so they were like, hey, if we can roll it into the price, it's all the better. For it. But yeah, that was cool. I'm closed yesterday.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, sometimes you got to get creative, right? As realtors and brokers, and that's why you're one of the best for sure. And I'm glad to be learning under you. So, both had birthdays this past week. We're both 45. Again, we were born, I think, 5 days apart. And Angel's over there laughing at us that we're 45. We got the old 22-year-old over there.
Angel could be our son, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
My mom actually told me this. This is crazy. I got older brothers.
Yep.
But she said, I remember when I was 45, because your brother came to me and said, Mom, I know this is a little early for you, but I'm sorry you're going to be a grandmother. Yeah. And that was a little bit of a shocker. So I was an uncle at like 10, 11 or something like that. He's old age, but anyway.
Yeah.
It was a pretty wild one. I'm like, man, yeah, my kids aren't old enough for that stuff. But
yeah, I definitely remember that. I mean, I've got 4 older sisters and 2 of them are in their 50s. And, so yeah, I'm definitely the youngest out of my family of 5.
Well, my birthday was a Wednesday. It was yesterday, so that wasn't really too crazy. But I went out to dinner with my wife on Tuesday. That was fun.
Yeah.
And then we skipped out for an hour and a half, hit Topgolf across the street for a little bit yesterday. But that was the extent of my wild birthday. I made my own dinner last night and was in bed at 9:30. So
yeah. That sounds about what a 45-year-old birthday looks like.
That's how it goes these days.
Yeah. No, we didn't do much. And the weather wasn't great on Sunday or Monday. But still got a lot of pool days on the weekend, and it was a good birthday. I do have a funny story though. I did. So this is just, for all you guys out there, all you husbands. I knew this, but I sometimes don't think about it, is that whenever it's your birthday or Christmas, or Father's Day, you should not be buying yourself gifts around that time.
I mean, if you state that I'm buying myself a gift, right?
Well, no. So who's telling their wife that they bought something? So I came home Friday on my birthday, just with a new Beats Pill speaker, for the beach and the pool and all that stuff. And when I walked in the door, I saw a little bag, and it definitely was the same size as a speaker. And next thing you know, she sees my speaker, and she's basically, I'm in trouble because she bought me a speaker for my birthday. So yes, I ruined.
See, we kind of have our situation is sort of like, hey, I'm getting this. It's my gift for myself type of thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. This wasn't anything crazy. I mean, this was like $100 speaker. I needed one. My daughter lost my last one. We were going into Memorial Day weekend. I was like, I need to get it. If I don't get it today, I'm not, making my way back up.
Did you keep both of them then?
No, I returned hers actually.
That was a very bad idea.
Yeah, well, she got me the Bose one, and I got the Beats Pill Plus, and I like the Beats Pill. It's actually the battery lasts longer, and if she watches this, she's gonna be mad at me probably some more. But again, it was the thought. I'm glad she remembered. I definitely didn't think she remembered that I wanted a speaker or that we needed one. But that's what's I guess great about being married, and so
good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all we got for this week. You got anything else?
You want to hear my list? I always love my list. Here.
What's your list for?
Let me hit you up with a list. I just saw this one. So, Open Table. You ever use Open Table?
Oh, this is restaurants.
This is a cool one. I just saw this.
Sometimes Myrtle Beach is like, Open Table is really more for.
I use it when I go to town.
Yeah.
So I use it when we go, like when we travel more.
Very hard to get a reservation in Myrtle Beach during the summer.
So this article was a cool one. It just popped up. So the most booked restaurants in Myrtle Beach on Open Table. So we'll hit them. You tell me if you've been there. Give me your one line. It's one thing that I want to do. We've talked about, like we're working up to get some guests, but we always said like one of the things we want to do is like whenever we get a guest, like what's your favorite restaurant? There's so many different restaurants in town, so many different styles to accommodate everybody that's coming to town. That I always love getting people's ideas and opinions. So these are not, doesn't say they're necessarily in order. I guess they could be, but hit them up. Ready? So the Hangout.
Yes.
Broadway.
Yeah, not a fan. Again, that I could see why that's on Open Table because that is massive for vacationers and families. But like I went one time and the food is what it is. It's and someone's supposed to get on your table and dance like around your food. So I don't understand it.
I have gotten on a table and danced there actually.
Yeah,
believe it or not, I'm not a good dancer, but
yeah.
So that was
yep.
That's for tourists. I would recommend
100%
for
tourists,
kids and stuff.
It's at Broadway at the
My
beach.
kids love it.
Yep, it's right here across from our office. Yep.
Carolina Roadhouse.
Of course, yes.
I think that I remember that being like one of the stores like that was like the highest. I don't know if it was the highest grossing or the highest like
yes.
Back in the day, that was like the
we've known so many people that work there. I still know some that do work for the company. They're a large company. Carolina Roadhouse, California Dreaming. For everybody. Yeah. Yes, they are awesome. They always have the same food every time. Like every time you go in there, you don't really ever have a bad meal. So best salads too. Croissants, yes.
Clark's Seafood and Chop House, Little River.
Yes, I have been there.
I think it's the only one on the list I've not been to.
Long time ago, I think when my wife worked for BB&T,
it's nice, right? It's like high
mortgage. Yeah, one of her lenders was retiring, and that's where the party was, and it's high end, kind of. Yeah.
New York Prime.
Yes. Yep.
But then that's like our fanciest. I'd probably say like steak, like Ruth Chris, style.
And just so you know, New York Prime is actually owned by the same people that own
Roadhouse, right?
Carolina Roadhouse and California Dreaming.
And the next one on the list, Gulfstream Cafe,
and they also own that company as well.
So that's good too. That's a cool that like location wise is money. It's Murrells Inlet. So
some of the best views.
When I think of Murrells Inlet, like you think of like the Marsh Walk area. This is the.
It's actually Garden City. It's Garden City Island, but I believe it does have a Murrells Inlet address. Just because at some point the line runs over it, but to get to it, you have to go to the Garden City Island. But it has the best views. You're actually looking back, so you actually get like the incredible sunset views.
Greg Norman's Australian Grill. Barefoot.
That was one of our staples back in the day. We used to frequent that, a lot. That's another story for a different day. But yes, Barefoot Landing they've actually done so much stuff at Barefoot Landing. We went to the Big Chill that one time. That place was really cool.
Barefoot, I know. Barefoot's just how they transformed the waterway. Like they just before weren't utilizing the waterway side of, which is crazy. Like everything was facing inland, which is in the parking lot area.
Even Greg Norman's, I believe, is still just inside. I mean, you can have a walkway in front of it, but they don't have like tables and stuff out there. But
Ruth's Chris, again, just solid. I mean, obviously chain, but Hot Fish Club.
Again, another place we used to frequent back when we lived in Myrtle Beach.
See, I never went to the restaurant. I don't think there's the bar.
I've been to the restaurant.
The bar was called what? It's called
it's Hot Fish Club.
I thought the outside thing was called something else.
No, it's Hot Fish Club. Yeah, the inside was white tablecloth type stuff, but I mean, again, everything in Myrtle Beach is casual. Like even you think Ruth's Chris in DC where we're from, if you go there, like or Morton's back in the day, like you needed to have a jacket on, So, but you come down here, so many golfers that are going to New York Prime and Ruth's Chris, it's still a casual environment. I mean, you're not wearing sweatpants and stuff, but you should have some sort of business casual on, and so the whole family can be comfortable.
Hard Rock Cafe at Broadway.
Yeah, I mean.
Yes, that used to be the Crazy Pyramid.
Yeah, I mean,
knocked it down. I
always forget that it's even there.
I've only been to the new one like once, I think.
Yeah, Well, they turned that whole area, it used to be all the clubs and nightlife and everything was right there, but it became a bit of a problem and, too many fights and things happening on the weekends. And so they really turned it into more family atmosphere. They got a Wahlburgers there. And then they got like 4 restaurants. And then they did put the Dave and Buster's where the Hard Rock was. So.
Last one's 21 Main. We went there with our ladies actually a couple months ago. That was nice. That's a North Beach right across from Barefoot. They were like sushi, steaks, seafood, high-end stuff. It's kind of funny when you go in there because that building was actually designed to be like the check-in area. So like it's kind of a weird, I feel like it's like a weird, like a little bit of a weird feel overall. Like it didn't feel like a quaint like restaurant, but
right. But the food's great. Food's good. Yeah, the food's excellent.
I think it's a pretty accurate list.
Yeah. I mean, again, not everywhere takes reservations. So this is based off of, reservations, stuff, but a lot of the, most of the places in the inlet, none of them take reservations. Anything on the Marsh Walk, none of those take reservations. I believe Wicked Tuna might, that might be the only one. Otherwise you're waiting for a while. If you're going to go to Myrtle's Inlet in the summer, you need to, be in the Marsh Walk by like 4:00. Walk around, be at a table by 4:30. You need to eat early. Otherwise you'll be waiting. So,
yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think that about does it for, this is our 3rd episode. I think we're getting better. If you like it, I mean, please follow, right? I mean, I think it's getting out there, but
like, follow, subscribe.
Yeah. I mean,
and we can get some guests on soon too.
We might get something on the logarithm, as Brian says. But yeah, I mean, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. We've got all those pages and everything, and they're all, below in the link. So feel free to check them out. And otherwise, we will see you next week. And we're already going to be in June next week. So
see you
on the flip side.